3 stages of making sure your property is ready for lettings. Number 1 is run a RAG system. What the fuck is that, Jamie? A RAG system is a red, amber, and green. So I go around the property. You want to have a checklist of this. Don't try and remember it as you're going through. And you need to go through each room, each thing you're looking at, and run a RAG. So for example, I'll go into the kitchen and I'll be looking at different things. So I can see in that corner there, it's got the sealant is decent, but it looks a bit mucky. So I would say that's an amber. Where I would mark an amber is, it looks decent, it's fine, it's not going to stop anything getting let out, but it's something I definitely want to see. Whereas, imagine I go into the light switches, for example, in the other room, and they're not wired correctly. So you need that one to be on and that one to be on. That would be a red for me. So it's not a big deal, but it's definitely something that I would want to get sorted as soon as possible rather than during the viewing period. And then if it's green, that means it's all good to go. So in general, the red is urgent, the amber is let's get it sorted, and the green is it's past the check, I'm all good with it. So people go through and do a snagging list. And what they often do wrong is they only do it at the end of the property once it's all done. The problem is, good luck getting the builders back. They're going to get pissed off with a long list. You want to do this RAG throughout the stages of every single refurbishment. Next is understanding your tenant type. So there's a lot of different types of tenants out there, okay? So if you've got an LHA tenant, that's going to be very different to somebody, a tradesperson that's coming to stay here for 5 nights a week during a big development going on through your serviced accommodation. The more you understand your client at the end, the more you can think about the property before they come and view it. Say for example, you've got working professionals and you want to rent this out as a HMO, I would definitely be getting it furnished before I do any viewings. And the reason for that is I want them to experience what it would be like to live in the property, specifically their bedroom. Now, the key thing with HMOs, for example, before I'm going to rent it out, especially with the smaller rooms, is people can walk in and they can't visualize where the wardrobe's going to be, the bedroom's going to be. For example, I am shit at this. I am awful at walking in and going, that's where my bed would go, that would go here. I'm not very good at it. Whereas what I am good at is when something's in there, I can visualize, oh, I like that, I don't like that, I'd probably have that there. And the more somebody can experience it, the more emotional they are. And the reason that's so important is we all purchase from emotion. So stage number 2 is the more you understand your tenant, the better you can prepare the property. And finally, stage 3, this is the legal part of letting it out. So there's actually a couple of stages for this. So first of all, you've got the property itself. So this is really in 2 stages. The first part is the property, which is really 3 big ones. Is number 1, electric checks. You legally have to have an EICR certificate on the property to make sure that the electrics are okay and everyone's ready to move in. The next is a CP12, which is a gas safety certificate to make sure that actually everything is done properly with the gas and central heating. With both of those, by the way, they can be annoying, feel like a needless expense, but I promise you, if something goes wrong, it can go very wrong. And I'm not going to go into how morose it can get, but think about the worst case situation if you haven't done the electrics correctly, you haven't done the gas correctly. It can be pretty shit. And imagine the emotional burden, let alone the legal burden on you, knowing that you didn't check it. So CP12s, EICRs, and of course you need to have the relevant buildings insurance and landlord's insurance. Then of course there's the compliance, which I will not be going through because there are over 100 parts of compliance when you are renting a property. And that's where it's really important to understand that it's not just the investment based on paper. You see a property on Rightmove, stuff like that. You need to know the longevity, the 1 year, the 3 year, the 5 year. And a key part of that is having the right compliance in place through your management agents. And that's really where we come in. At Aspire Property Group, we actually take care of the end-to-end process of property. So we're not just a sourcing company. We'll find a great investment, get our broker to get the best finance for you, get it through as fast as possible with our solicitors. We then have the refurbishment team and we have in-house management. So if you've got money to invest, 100K or more, and you want us to do the work for you, so eventually you can stop working hard for your money and get your money working hard for you, then put APG in the comments. That stands for Aspire Property Group. That's APG in the comments now. If not, I'll put the link in and pin it to the top. Click in there, fill in your details, and I look forward to having a one-to-one chat to see if we can even help you build that portfolio. Two final tips with this is curb appeal. And I don't just mean literally from the curb, although that is also good. Make sure you stood across from the property, look at the ridge line on the roof, make sure the garden's pretty, look at the back. Little things like that make a difference and can actually put somebody off. You might think it's a really small thing. It costs 50 quid to get that cut, no worries. It's like, no, it's the first impression that really counts. But I don't just mean literally the curb. I mean, pick your main advertisable room. So we're filming in the kitchen right now. It's almost always the best draw to a property. It's either going to be a big back garden, the kitchen looking nice, or the bathroom. And for me, it's almost always the kitchen. So you want to be thinking of who you're looking to attract. If it's a family, for example, the kitchen's going to be perfect to draw into the mum and dad thinking, we're going to cook the family meals, shut the kids away in another room and get started. Final tip on this is the effort is done up front. A lot of people, when they've done the refurbishment, it can be a really and trust me, a painful process doing a refurbishment. You finally get to the end of it and you're like, now I need to make money. It's been money out, get a tenant in quickly. You do not want to rush the process. Just because you get somebody that's going to come in, pay you what you want to get paid, and then you suddenly rent out, that doesn't mean it's the right one. And trust me, I have learned the hard way with this. I really have. You want to make sure you're vetting the tenant correctly. Make sure they've got the right to rent in the UK. Make sure you've got the EPC, the Energy Performance Certificate. Make sure they've got the right AST. Make sure you've done the right referencing. Because if you don't do all of the right things up front, imagine number one, the more chance of it going wrong with them not paying and things like that. However, more importantly, if they don't pay, you can't legally, it was very hard to legally get them out with a Section 21 notice if you haven't done all of those up front, because you haven't legally rented the property. And again, this is such a big thing that we talk about in Aspire Property Group, because it's not just the time that we take away from you, which is a massive benefit. It's all of the compliance that you don't know that you need that ends up stinging you a year or two down the line. So I hope this has been valuable for you. If you're new to the channel, you want to find out more about property investment, make sure to hit the subscribe and the notification bell. And if you stood through this video and you're thinking, that's a lot of effort just for a boring vanilla buy to let, well, great, that's where we come through. We take the effort away from you. If that is you want to build your portfolio, put APG in the comments and we'll be in touch.